After trading for Jonah Jackson earlier today, I've got another player that I think the Bears should trade for right away. And no, it's not one of the blockbuster names that you're thinking. I'll tell you who it is coming up right now. The Chicago Bears make another trade before the start of NFL free agency. Welcome to Bears Now by Chat Sports. My name is Harrison Graham. After adding Jonah Jackson to beef up the offensive line, can I interest you in a Michael Mayer trade? Report out there that the Raiders are open to shopping the third-year tight end who was almost a first-rounder just a couple of years ago, went in the second round to the Las Vegas Raiders. But he's had an interesting journey since entering the league. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Mayer from his time at Notre Dame, where he starred and had a couple of excellent seasons. Was a second-round pick with the Raiders in 2023. Had a decent rookie season that year. You got to remember that the Raiders' offense and QB situation the last couple of years has been a kind of a mash pit of Jimmy Garoppolo, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, and a couple other scrubs. So it's not like he's had a great QB play, although Brock Bowers had a great year this year, which is kind of when things got a little weird. They drafted Brock Bowers in the first round, who was obviously fantastic, Rookie of the Year type of player, although Jaden Daniels won that, obviously. And then he kind of mysteriously left the team for personal reasons for 6 games. There were all kind of rumors, like family issues, and then some people were like, is this because they drafted Brock Bowers? He feels upset. I don't really know what that was about. Came back, had an okay year, right? 156 yards, no touchdowns. Certainly didn't take that year to jump. He was always going to be impacted by the pick of Bowers. That's just the reality, especially with how good Bowers ended up being right away. But yeah, I do want to reiterate, it's unclear what that personal issue was with Michael Mayer. So I do think any team that would trade for him would have to look into that and kind of make sure, like, all things are squared away. You know, you don't want to trade for a player who could disappear in the middle of the season and step away from the team for mysterious reasons. You kind of went through something like that with Nate Davis to an extent. So certainly have to figure out what's going on there. Vincent Bond Sr. of The Athletic, who's just been on a roll with these Raider reports, sarcasm for those who are unaware, did report this. I've been told multiple teams have been doing due diligence on Michael Mayer. Multiple sources include the Raiders are trying to trade Mayer, who is heading into his 3rd season. Quote, plenty of teams are interested. And then he kind of hedged this a little bit. I don't know if someone from the Raiders reached out and wanted him to change the phrasing or what, but he added, the sense is that this is much more about other teams inquiring Mayer's availability than the Raiders shopping him. I wonder if someone in the Raiders front office reached out to him and was like, hey, don't tell the world we're shopping him because that kills his value. Rephrase it to teams are calling us, and we're being open-minded to try and get top value. Because, look, let's face it, if you openly say you're shopping him, new coaching staff, new GM, you're not going to get top dollar. Now, I don't know what they really expect they're going to get from Michael Mayer, which we'll kind of outline later because it's been a disappointing start to his career, but I could see that being the case on the clarification there. So what say you before we kind of dive into the nuts and bolts of this thing? Should the Bears trade for Michael Mayer? Type T for trade or P for pass? Give us your thoughts down in the comment section below. I actually think that the Bears should be very interested here and should try to trade for Mayer. Obviously cost dependent here. Like, I'm not trading a 3rd-round pick for Michael Mayer, but would I do something similar to what you just did for Jonah Jackson? Yeah, I think that's very much something I would absolutely consider. So let's kind of just go through some reasons why I think trading for Michael Mayer would be a pretty good idea. Number one, this is an extremely talented player. We all love Cole Kmet, right? How he played at Notre Dame. Michael Mayer was a more productive player at Notre Dame and a better prospect coming out of Notre Dame. Now, what you do in college does not guarantee anything in the NFL. Obviously, Cole Kmet has been a better pro than Michael Mayer has, but this guy was tremendous in college, even as a freshman. Freshman tight ends don't usually catch 40-plus balls for over 400 yards. And then back-to-back 800-yard seasons with 16 total touchdowns. I mean, that's elite-level college production from the tight end position, especially for a team in Notre Dame that's not typically considered like a high-octane passing offense. Like, he was the focal point of their passing attack when he was there those last 2 years. I remember thinking the year he came out, the Raiders got a steal getting him in the 2nd round of that draft. So this is a guy who comes in with a lot of ability. Number 2, one thing he did improve at this year in the limited time he did play, again, he missed those 6 games with the personal issue, he was a much better blocker in year 2 than he was as a rookie, which not a huge surprise, right? Tight ends coming into the NFL these days, very rarely, especially guys who were focal points as receiving tight ends in college, are going to come in as high-level blockers. But from year 1 to year 2, he got much better. His PFF blocking grades as a pass blocker and pass protection, 67.1 for a tight end. It's very good. Run blocking, which would be even more important, 65. Those are good numbers. That's an above-average blocking tight end grades per PFF's blocking system. And when you kind of think about the Bears, too, and what they've gotten out of their backup tight ends, which you need your backup tight ends to block unless they're going to be excellent receiving tight ends, like Mercedes Lewis, appreciate the 2 years, kind of feels like that's over. Like he's going to be 41 years old. He can only play a limited amount of snaps. I thought his blocking took a dip last year. Like to me, I'm probably not running that back. So if Michael Mayer can come in, be a receiving threat, but also be a quality blocker, I think that would be a very big benefit to this Bears offense under Ben Johnson. And we'll talk about some Ben Johnson-specific things here in just a little bit. But first, got to tell you guys about our sponsor, Rocket Money. Been telling you guys about Rocket Money for the better part of 2 years now, as it is a personal finance app that will help you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and stay on top of your overall budget. Listen, it's easy to just blow money and then, check your bank statement every few weeks and be like, golly, where did the money go? That's where Rocket Money comes into play because you can set budgets. They are going to help you stay on track of those, send you weekly reminders, and make sure you do not fall off track. You can check out and realize, okay, I'm spending this much in this categorized spending. I'm got a little more wiggle room there. They also list out all of your subscriptions and show you in real time how much per month you're spending on those. You're probably spending way more than you think. Don't believe me? Get signed up with Rocket Money. You're probably spending closer to $300 per month instead of like $60, $70, which is where most Americans think they land. Go to rocketmoney.com/bears now to get signed up today. Sync up your bank account. And just like, if you just want to use it for just general like banking things, I like it better than my banking app. Like it's easier to access my credit score and just stay on top of my statement. It also like gives you reminders of when like your certain bills are due, like, oh, you're going to get charged for your electric bill on October 13th or, March 13th because we're in the month of March, whatever the case may be. It's really nice, really user-friendly, very easy to navigate. So stop wasting money on things you don't use. Get started with Rocket Money today, rocketmoney.com/bears now. They have saved their customers $500 million in canceled subscriptions alone and up to $740 per year for members. Take advantage today. Get started. Okay, number 3, and this is probably the most important. You'd be buying low. You'd be buying low on a very talented player who's still young and I still think has really good ability. And Michael Mayer. 5th-round pick for Mayer. Mitchell Renz, who hosts the Raiders Report, he said a 6th might get it done. Now, you don't have a 6th now. You traded that for Jonah Jackson, but would I trade a pick in the 150s, 160s for Michael Mayer? I'd consider it. And look, I understand if you do trade your 5th, then you don't have a pick in the 4th, 5th, or 6th round. That's a long time on day 3 before those 2 7th-round picks, but maybe you trade back from one of your 2nd-round picks, get an extra pick in that 4th-round range. And look, Michael Mayer or a 5th-round pick, who has a better chance of being more valuable? I'd take Michael Mayer, who has 2 years left on his rookie deal. I still think there's a scenario where he's a potential long-term tight end 1. Cole Kmet is entering his 6th year in the NFL. This could be a situation where Mayer's a quality tight end 2 next to him for 2 years, and then maybe their roles flip, right? As Kmet ages, he takes a bit of a back seat, or maybe the Bears move on from him. Like, ideally, you start to develop another tight end here because Kmet's not going to be a 15-year player. Like, tight ends just don't do that. You're starting to see it. Kelsey's an anomaly playing for as long as he has, but even the Chiefs are like, yeah, you can come back, but you're probably not going to be a focal point. I think you get a guy who's got tight end 1 potential, and you start to groom him. And a few years down the road, if things go well, he could be your tight end 1 of the future. So, again, buy low on someone like that with that ability. That's pretty appealing to me. Number 4, Ben Johnson runs a lot of 12 personnel. And I remember thinking that when they hired him, like, man, they like using tight ends. They're going to do it. And I did some research. Out of all 32 NFL teams, the Bears were 3rd in 12 personnel usage. And for those who don't know, because it's kind of football nerd talk, 12 personnel means 2 tight ends on the field, 2 receivers. 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. That's what that means. The Lions did it almost a third of their offensive snaps last year. That's a lot. That is quite a bit. And if the Bears cannot get quality tight ends behind Cole Kmet, like they haven't been able to in recent years, they already cut Gerald Everett. I don't expect Mercedes Lewis back. Steven Carlson? I don't think so. Like, you can't run that much 12 personnel if you don't have people that can do the job necessary, which is be an adequate blocker, be a reliable hands catcher. I think at the minimum, Michael Mayer is a good blocker and a guy you can dump the football off to. And at a maximum, he's got tight end one potential. I still believe that to be the case. So you need better tight ends behind Kmet to run more 12 personnel. That is the bottom line. Now, Ben Johnson will kind of carve out his offense with the personnel they do have. If they can't do that, they'll run more 11, which is 3 wide receivers. But I'd like to do 12 personnel. A lot of offenses are growing in that direction because it's more disguised pre-snap. If you're out there with 2 tight ends, more likely that defenses are going to be unsure. Are they running the football? Are they throwing the football? When you're in 11, it's like, they're probably throwing the football more often than not. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. But I got to think that the Bears would be interested in this cat. One more thing that I want to mention in a second, but subscribe to the channel. If the Bears make a move, if they make a trade, just like we did with Jonah Jackson, we're breaking it down here on the show. If they make a big trade, we'll try to go live for it. Obviously, we'll be live throughout free agency next week. We'll be live on Thursday as well, as we are every week. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We got you covered. Okay, and this one kind of ties in with the last one, but we'll have some numbers to kind of show you here. The Bears just need better tight end production. It's outside of Kmet. It's just embarrassing. Last year, Gerald Everett and Mercedes Lewis combined for 9 catches and 38 yards and no touchdowns. I don't care how bad of an offense you are, that can't happen. Like that, you would think if that's the case, like, oh, we must have had Brock Bowers who had 1,000 yards. Like, no, like Kmet didn't even have 500 yards last year. It's embarrassing tight end production. 2023, you got 15 catches for 141 yards and 1 touchdown from that group with Robert Tonyan as the tight end 2 in Mercedes Lewis. Not good enough. And then the year before, I don't even know who was in that group. Was that the Ryan Griffin, Trayvon Wesco season? I think it was. 6 catches, 52 yards. I mean, that's half a game sometimes for a player. It's pathetic how bad the supporting cast has been at this position. So, like, next time someone wants to flame Cole Kmet for something, remember that last graphic I showed you, because this team has gotten zilch, nada, nothing from tight ends not named Cole Kmet the last 3 seasons. And by the way, the years before, they didn't get much better either, but Jimmy Graham was at least okay. Like, he wasn't a complete joke. Michael Mayer, who has been considered a disappointment, has had 460 yards and 2 touchdowns through 2 seasons. And that's missing, quick math, 9 games. Like, for what the Bears have seen from their other tight ends, that is 10x better. I mean, it's not even close. So, yeah, if you're telling me you can get a young Michael Mayer, I'm going to Google real quick. Michael Mayer age. He's 23. He'll turn 24 in July. This guy potentially is just getting started. He's been sucked in the Raiders' disaster. And listen, Brock Bowers was awesome for them. So I'm not like excusing Mayer for not getting off to quite the start we thought in his career. But it took Cole Kmet a couple years. Then he took off and he's been a top 10-ish tight end. I think Michael Mayer still has that in him. I think he's capable of at least being a good player in this league. So you guys let me know. Would you trade a 5th-round pick for Michael Mayer? Type Y for yes, type in for no. I would seriously consider it. And if you're like, well, we already traded a 6th, what about the 5th? It's like, okay, you tell me. Who are they getting in the 5th round that you feel very good about is going to be a better player than Michael Mayer? I'd say the odds are against you for a guy that went top 35 in the draft and still has 2 years left of contract control. So that's my take. I'd love to see it happen. I think he could help this team. Maybe not tremendously. That might be a strong word. But I think there's potential where this could be like an all-time steal. It's like buy low on a guy that you're just getting him at the right time because new regime there. He seems to be a bit unhappy. You bring him here, a place near where he played his college ball, and, things start to click with a creative offensive mind like Ben Johnson. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Chicago Bears Now. Plenty more to come. Free agency rumors are really going to start ramping up. What are the Bears going to do next on their offensive line? It's going to be a fun few days, and we're going to have it all covered. So don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you soon.